Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. And now, here are Bob and Richard.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Muchkin.
Our guest today is Anthony Curtis, publisher of Huntington Press and the Las Vegas Advisor. Anthony Curtis, welcome back to the show.
Hi, guys. Good to be here.
Last time you were on the show, you spoke about Mattress Mack and his Super Bowl bets. We know he bet on Tampa Bay, so that was a winner. But there's got to be more to the story than that.
Yeah, all right. So we talked to pre-Super Bowl, right? So
yes,
we hadn't gotten him down yet, or had we already said that we had made a bet with him? I think he hadn't made a bet yet, correct?
He was betting on Tampa Bay, but whether the timing of it, I don't remember specifically.
Right.
But it was before the Super Bowl, and you were hoping for a middle of Tampa Bay wins,
right,
but by less than 3 points.
Okay, so here's the key. All right, I'll give you the key points to this, and it actually turned into a pretty cool adventure again. I mean, every time we do something with this guy, it turns into something fun. Interestingly, before we even get to that, somebody else took a couple pages out of Mack's playbook over the weekend here in Vegas. The Dollar Loan Centers promised to forgive all of their outstanding loans if the racer, his name was Josh Bilicki, and if Josh Bilicki were to win the Pennzoil 400, I think it was called yesterday, they were going to forgive everything. And in order to hedge that, they made a bet with Circa I forget what the number was, but it would have paid out $10 million, I believe. So they were using almost the exact same playbook that Mack uses, which is number one, promote heavily and use with some sort of obligation if you lose, so some risk. And use the betting markets to hedge as opposed to, getting in traditional style insurance. Now, what was different about this is this Bilicki guy had about zero chance to win. So I think they didn't have to pay much for their million or 10 million in insurance.
I saw a picture on Twitter of the ticket, and I think they were getting 1,000 to 1.
Yeah.
So it only cost them $10,000 to get that insurance, which is pretty cheap for a promotion like that.
It's very cheap insurance, and they got a ton of PR. Right. So I mean, the way we look at it is they paid $10,000 for a bunch of promotion, which is what they got. This guy Bilicki, I think that his best finish was 33rd prior to this, and I mean he literally had almost no chance. But the idea is that the concept is being used, or it's being used again. Now, Mack uses it like nobody else. He's used it many, many times. And we set it up with him that he wanted to take Tampa Bay because that's where the people were going to get their money back. And we wanted to get to 3.5. So that would give him the chance to scoop it, meaning that if the Chiefs would win by 1, 2, or 3, then he would not have to pay back insurance money, but he would win the 3.5. So we went on the hunt for 3.5, and it was, as you guys probably know, it opened around 3, it bounced around, 3.5 and 3, and we eventually got him down with one big bet with DraftKings. He went to Colorado to make the bet, and all of a sudden there was another Twitter catastrophe going on. All of a sudden Mack was an idiot again. Frank B and I were idiots. Nobody knew what they were doing. And the reason was because the ticket was tweeted out and he got plus 3.5 on Tampa Bay, minus 127. And the market number at that time was basically minus 115. So we were the rubes, right? We were a bunch of rubes who could have gotten it down at 115, but we ran him all the way to Colorado to get 127 instead. Now, does anything sound wrong with that, with that picture?
Yeah, where can you get the 115 for how many millions of dollars did you want to bet?
Well, we ended up betting, he ended up betting close to $3 million, and he won the bet, obviously, when Tampa Bay won. And so it paid out 3.1 or whatever the heck it ended up paying. But anyway, it came to 127. And that would be like one of the first thoughts is, okay, maybe we were crunched for time and we needed to get it all down in one place. And only DraftKings would do it and only in Colorado. Well, that wasn't the case. And I've explained it to some degree publicly. I did it on VSiN a couple of times. I did it on a couple of interviews without giving away all of the information, but now doing it with you guys. Now, of course, there's a value in being able to get it down all in one fell swoop, one big bet, enough to cover his obligations if he had to give the mattress money back. But that wasn't the case. We could have easily gotten it down at 115, piecing together a whole bunch of different bets if we wanted to. So were we lazy? Were we dumb? Was it any of these things? No. What happened is that what big bettors can do, and people don't realize, a lot of regular bettors don't realize, is that big bettors have a lot of leverage with bookies, especially if those bookies are aggressive and trying to get PR like DraftKings was. And this was a negotiated wager, meaning that while the actual payout for the main bet that he made indicated a minus 127 lay price, he negotiated a bunch of bonuses and free bets and all these other things that when we put it all into a hat, we put it onto a spreadsheet, and it came down to the bottom line, we got him down for minus 105. So that's what it came down to. Everything, when it was properly cooked into the pie, meant that he did not lay 127, he laid 105. And as Frank put it, he got down the biggest bet in the world at the best price. And that's exactly what happened. So yes, I'm patting, you can see right through the radio that I'm patting myself on the back, but we work with Mack to do things like that for him and to make these kind of deals with him. We couldn't do it if he didn't have so much clout himself. And what he was able to negotiate, based on our recommendation that this was the price that he had to get for us to be happy, then he, of his own volition and his own intelligence and his own wherewithal and clout, was able to negotiate a set of deals that gave him that minus 105 price. So it's a really good pairing,
Yeah. That's a great story.
And this is kind of the opposite of what he went through when he was betting on Houston. At Houston, they were the favorite. Well, this time Tampa Bay was too, but he would get the worst price because he had to get the money down. So the same guy who got the worst price when he was betting on Houston now got the best price.
Yeah.
So
All right. So Bob, you're all over it, and you're on top of how these situations differ. And the bets that we made for him with the Houston Astros, they were different in two ways. That was one of them. That most of those bets we made were, likely negative expectation wagers, but that took second fiddle in precedence to the fact that we needed to hedge X amount for him, and that was the only way we could do it. But we were also betting way, way in advance. So we had leverage in being able to bet the Astros to go all the way at plus money, which, that was not something that we could do here. But what we did have going for us in this case was Mack also had other incentives that nobody knows about that had nothing to do with the bookies. And it had to do with his furniture manufacturers and discounts on certain amount of, payments to his manufacturers based on volume. And so he was hedging a number that only we knew. All right. So as you can see, there are extreme number of levels to this. And then finally, why did you go to Colorado? Because of tax consequences. So, this thing was thought out on many, many different levels. And we had the Twitter people out there going, ha, 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 how dumb are they? They had absolutely no idea what was going on. None at all.
And now the rest of the story.
Well, his bets on Houston.
I've told you guys more than I've told anybody else because you guys are my buddies.
And now all our listeners have the inside scoop.
Right. And all those millions of listeners you have. So it'll probably get out there big time.
I think that was a shot across the bow. But, different subject. A few weeks from now, Thursday, March 25th, we have a new casino opening in Las Vegas. What do you know about Virgin Hotels Las Vegas?
All I know about Virgin so far is that I really love them. Before they've even opened, I just really love them for the things that they're doing. First of all, they're going to open, and they made a point of this, that they're going to open without any parking fees whatsoever. So it's going to be free parking at Virgin, which is, but for anyone who doesn't know, Virgin Las Vegas, or I think the actual name of it, the official name is Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. They're going to be opening in the space that used to be the Hard Rock off the strip over by the airport. And they've completely gutted that casino and remade it their own way, rebranded it as Virgin, and they're going to open on the 25th of March. But they went out of their way to make a big announcement that there's going to be no parking fees. So it's not even like you have to pay a fee and then go in and get those fees reversed or get your ticket validated. As far as I know, it's just going to be free parking. But this is the biggie that nobody has had the guts to do yet. Hardly anybody, that is, and no resort fees. All right, now this is the big bugaboo. This is what everybody hates, are these resort fees. And I've always been of the mind that you shouldn't really sweat it that much, because resort fees simply need to be added onto the base price, and that's the price of your hotel room. But the casinos charge resort fees for a number of reasons. Like the Mattress Mack thing, there are layered reasons why they do it, financial and otherwise. And so, maybe Virgin wanted to open with a $100 room rate and a $30 resort fee. And instead of doing that, they're going to open with a $130 room rate. So it's going to be really the exact same thing, but they're smart enough to give the customer what the customer wants. And I think this is great. And one more thing, when Virgin didn't even know they were going to open, and we did member rewards for the Las Vegas Advisor, and we contact everybody. And we had a hard time with member rewards this year, even though we got a really good, solid, credible book that I'm happy with. A lot of places didn't want to work with us. Station casinos, after years and years and years, pulled out completely, literally saying they don't want to give up anything anymore. They said that in so many words to me. And Virgin, who hadn't even opened and hadn't even figured out what their opening date was, said, when we open, we're going to have a deal for you. So we're finishing a deal with Virgin right now, which is going to be some kind of a slot match play. It'll be something, it'll probably be dinky, $10 or $20 or something, but at least they're showing that they care and they're going after the customers. So, right now, Virgin's like number one on my list. I love what they're doing right now because they're thinking, they're being smart, they're marketing smart, but these are all good things for the player and the customer.
Are they going to be run by Mohegan, or what's the affiliation there?
The casino is going to be run by Mohegan Sun. So you're going to see an East Coast influence, a Connecticut influence, where the Mohegans are based. The hotel is run by Virgin and their partnerships there. So it's kind of, split. Virgin was smart enough to know that they are not expert at doing this, so they partnered with Mohegan Sun. And Mohegan is actually the one who we made the deal with, because it's going to be a casino deal. But it was Virgin who said, what we want to do to start is a deal in the casino. So here's our partners, Mohegan. Talked to them, and we did, and we got a deal on.
Now, Virgin seems like such a misnamed casino for Las Vegas.
Yes.
The general manager, Joe Hassan, formerly GM of Green Valley Ranch, among other places. Do you see this as good or bad for players?
Oh, really good, because Joe came from Station when Station was Station. I mean, back when they were the way they were, which was very highly in favor of doing the best they could for the middle market customer. Now, they weren't your favorite, Bob, I know, because you weren't really the clientele that they catered to, but they were really good for the middle market. They had really great values. They had good, video poker schedules at the low end. They had good blackjack rules. Everything about them. Their rooms were priced really well. And that's when Joe was at Green Valley Ranch, and a big part of making those decisions. So having Joe there, I think, is a big part of why they're coming out of the box the way they are. I think it's really great for everybody that he is the guy there right now.
Now, Mohegan Sun is a Indian tribal casino. Is Virgin a tribal casino or non-tribal casino here in Las Vegas?
No, they're non-tribal. And, they made a deal with Mohegan it's like a licensing deal. It's like they hired them to run the show here, but they're not considered. I mean, I don't know this for 100%. I might be somewhere technically wrong, but my belief is they are not considered tribal. So they're not, if there were any kind of, let's say tax implications or whatever laws, that go with being tribal, I do not think they qualify for any of that. This is going to be like any other casino. They just chose a tribal group to operate for them.
And they're going to be under Nevada gaming regulations, so it's not like you'd have to worry about them pulling any, kind of nonsense that tribal
Agreed.
places get away with. It'll be interesting to see how the casino does for advantage players. Given, Mohegan took action really, really well. They would get huge action and not sweat it, as opposed to station properties, which always kind of sweated the money pretty badly. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes in the new place.
Well, I think it's important to bring up a point here in defense of whatever stance they take. Your show is geared toward more knowledgeable gamblers, certainly. And, a subset of that are the advantage players who are extremely knowledgeable. But they are an extreme thorn in the side of casino and casino management. And different managements take it differently. Some take it better than others. And I think that's the point you're making about Mohegan, I assume, in Connecticut. But I mean, the more and more that I talk to casino groups and managers and all, this whole AP thing really bugs them. And unfortunately, our group likes to rub their face in it a little bit. And all it does is make things worse. I was just on a podcast where the Plaza downtown in Vegas, very progressive casino, doing lots of good things. Guy in charge there is Jonathan Jossel. No dummy. I mean, this guy knows his stuff. And he wanted to talk to me a lot about the whole advantage player thing. And he was very, interested and tolerant in the things that I had to say, but, also nodded his head and made it clear that when I said, I don't think that casinos should be made to have to put up with guys that can come in and beat them. And if you're not slick enough and cool enough to beat them and get away with it without them kicking you out, then you deserve to be kicked out. And I just think that people need to understand that, especially if you're in there and you're playing with the best of it, that casinos are not in business for that to happen. So you've got to be slicker than a lot of us are, I believe.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the game, right? It's pretty easy to learn how to count cards and get an advantage. What's hard is learning how to get away with it, right?
Yeah, I've always said it. I know I've said it on your show. It's science and art.
Yeah.
The science is all that time you spend drilling and learning and remembering your indices and being able to count a deck and put it all together. And the art is then going into the casinos and getting away with it. It's a two-part shuffle there, and there's no doubt about it. But I mean, I saw it even. I mentioned you at the top of the show. I don't know if we'll talk about it before the show started. Me and a friend yesterday went down St. Rose Parkway and checked out a bunch of the bars there, in Las Vegas. That's for those who don't know, that's the big strip of highway next to the M Resort, way out on the south side of town in Vegas. And we went into several places that had sign-up bonuses and things. And a couple of places, everywhere we went, we asked, do you have a sign-up bonus? And in one or two places, the answer was, no, they took it away from us. And I go, who took it away from you? And they go, the owners, the management took our sign-up bonuses away because there were too many people coming in playing multiple cards and basically, cheating us. And I believe that's cheating. I think if you use multiple cards, I think that you are breaking the rule. And it screws it up for everybody, because a few people came in and just had to dig, take. Now nobody gets to do it. And that kind of aggravates me, man. I don't use multiple cards. I've never done it. And I don't think it's right.
Yeah, I get that. But also, how stupid are the people that must be doing this multiple cards in front of the same bartender or whatever? You know what I mean? Like so many of these people are they don't have any of the art that you're talking about, whatever the game they're playing.
It's horrible. I've seen it. It's so blatant. It's unbelievable. And I've seen, honestly, just the other day, I saw a guy with 6 cards, had them all stacked up next to his machine, and he was playing them one after another at a place that at this point is tolerant of it, but won't be for long. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely know what you mean.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, to go back to it, I think the whole Virgin situation, I can't wait for them to open, and I'm sure there'll be negatives, and I'm sure that all of these good things won't last forever, but they're trying out of the box. So I'm really excited about Virgin opening.
Well, wait a minute. So let's go back to St. Rose Parkway. So what did your tour, your walkabout of St. Rose Parkway turn up? Anything interesting?
It didn't turn up anything spectacular, only that there are a number of places there along that line that you can go in and get small benefits like 20 for 20 or play 20, get 10, that kind of thing. Play 10, get 10. I mean, the places, there's a bar called Blue Hawk Saloon, which is it's on the boulevard right by the M, and then you turn onto Parkway, and let's see, what were the places we went there? One is called The Lodge. They had a deal there. What was another one? Shoot,
Remedies.
I can't even remember. But there weren't a whole lot. There are other places in Vegas where you can do a lot better. And I think I'm going to talk about one of those at the end of the show when we do our recommendations. But here's one thing that might be kind of cool, and some people will hate hearing this, and others will go, yeah, that's what I've been waiting for, is I think we're going to start a page here at LasVegasAdvisor.com that talks about the bonuses everywhere. For instance, on Sundays, every Sunday at a place called Copper Keg on Rainbow, you can go there between 7 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, and it's a lose 20, get 20. So this one's kind of interesting because it's like a rebate. It's like a loss rebate. And there's a certain way to play it optimally, or you just kind of play it for fun. And they make the greatest Bloody Marys in the world. And I go every Sunday to lose 20 and then go back with my free 20 and get a Bloody Mary, on the house. So I think that we're gonna do a page that says who's doing what around town, and we'll probably expand that even farther to say, here are the bonuses you get when you join certain slot clubs. Like there's some really good ones. Like M has got their 500, lose 500, get 500. Now it's a little funky. It's definitely funky because there's all kinds of strange
having to go back
tied to the M deal.
Yeah.
But other ones come and go, and we're thinking about doing that. We think that'll be something that people will really love. They can come to town, they can go on a little mini run of casinos and or bars and play, sign up bonuses and get a free beer at every bar and get their day off to a flying start.
Have a designated driver for that.
Yeah, I know. That's always the way to go. Yeah.
Now, we talked about Virgin opening. The Drew and Resorts World are opening fairly soon. What do you know about that?
Well, nobody knows much about the Drew. The Drew is a former Fontainebleau, and that thing has gone through, if you want to look at the history of all of the problems that have hit Las Vegas, you could just look at that big blue building on the Strip. They were supposed to open as early, I think, as 2007 maybe, or at least 2009. And that thing got built, I don't know, what, 50, 60, maybe 70. I don't know how many floors they skipped, but I don't know how many stories, but it's just a huge building. And they said it was about, 80, 85% finished. And then they got hit with the recession and the place got closed. I mean, it got shuttered. They stopped doing work on it. It never opened. It got sold. Carl Icahn bought it. He was going to just, take it apart and sell the steel to China or something like that. I don't know. But it never got done. And then Icahn made it, one of his great plays. I think he bought it for $150 million and he flipped it for something like $500 million, 500 or 600. Then it went to another guy named Witkoff who renamed it the Drew. And Witkoff was going to do it. And then he got hit by COVID. And now Witkoff has sold it all the way back to the original part of the group is this guy Stauffer from New York. That was part of the original developers of it, and now they're claiming they're going to come back with it. So this one looks kind of solid. That I don't think it'll be called the Drew anymore because the Drew was a name that had a special meaning to the Witkoff group. So they'll probably change the name, but we haven't heard anything about that. We haven't heard anything about the plans. Now the one that is going to open for sure soon is going to be Resorts World Las Vegas, and that's on the site of the old Stardust and where they tried to build a place called Echelon Place. That one also got derailed during the the recession back in the 7, 8, and 9. And that was sold to the Genting Group, who are going to do this Resorts World. And this is going to be one of the biggest resorts built in Las Vegas and opened in Las Vegas in years and years, more than a decade. And it is going to be high end, and it's going to have 20 or 25 restaurants and 2 or 3 showrooms. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be, not for the thin of wallet for sure, but it's going to be something that's going to have some great amenities. So that's all supposed to happen in the summer, although they haven't named a date yet.
This summer.
This summer, yeah.
Yeah.
And this one's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back as well. But I'm pretty sure it's going to open this summer at some time. I would say late July or sometime in August would be my guess.
The other big casino news this week was that the Sands they're selling the Venetian and the Palazzo.
Yeah.
And
that's a hard one. That's a hard one for me to explain because I don't understand it myself yet. It's a hard one to figure out. Now, the easy thing to understand is that Sands Corporation, following the death of their founder, Adelson, are going in 2 other directions, which are not Las Vegas. And those 2 directions are Asia, with their places in Macau and Singapore and wherever else they may build there, and online gambling. Whereas forever, famously, Adelson resisted going into online gambling, didn't want to for reasons that were either true or not. But they're going to, they're going to cut bait here in Vegas. They're not going to have any representation in Vegas whatsoever, and they're going to go to Asia and online.
I thought I also read that they were making a push for Texas.
They were. Adelson was big on Texas.
Yeah, I mean, but, if you could open a casino in Texas, I mean, that would be huge.
I think there's a very good chance of that. That's what their MO is. Their MO is going to new jurisdictions that they know is going to be hot. And they did that in Macau, and they rule Macau. And, you've got Wynn in Macau and you've got MGM, but nobody's as entrenched as Sands Corp. And same thing in Singapore. So I think, yes, they're probably still they've been kind of on the down low. They haven't talked much about that because Texas is still so much up in the air. But I think they're keeping their foot in that game for sure. The interesting thing is who's going to take over Venetian and Palazzo. That's what we always care about, right? When there's a sale, we go, all right, who's next? Sands was an independent operator. They weren't really what I would call that customer friendly, but at least they were independent. The people that are coming in right now, it's very difficult to understand who exactly is going to be in charge. This is another deal similar to Virgin, where there's going to be one person owning land and one other person operating the casino. And they all have ties to Caesars Entertainment or El Dorado, although I don't think it's El Dorado proper who's going to be doing it. But that's not good news. Caesars Entertainment, El Dorado, not good. MGM, not good. Station Casinos now, not good.
Well, the group that bought them, Apollo, isn't that the group that sold to El Dorado that kind of ran all the Caesars properties into the ground?
Yes, they were the ones that took them on the leveraged buyout, whatever it was, that got them into a whole lot of trouble. And then they kind of got off of that for a while. But the operating group that's coming in, Apollo is going to be the operating group, I believe. Vici is Apollo. All right. See, that's why I said it's hard for me to get this straight in my own head. Apollo was affiliated with Caesars before it became El Dorado, but they're now coming in to run the operation. So they're going to be Caesars type. Whatever happens, this other organization, Vici or VC, however you pronounce it, is still a part of Caesars Entertainment. They're the REIT that was spun off from Caesars. So there's all kinds of connections to Caesars right now that all indicate it's going to be a Caesars type property, which to me is just plain bad news. I'm sorry, don't like them. That's all I can say. They don't like me either.
Well, if they don't like Anthony Curtis, it's time for some commercials. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and then we'll be back with Anthony Curtis. The South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. That's more than anyone else has. In March, there's a $500,000 swipe and win promotion. This is being run differently than a promotion of the same name was run several times in the past. You can earn 1 spin a day by playing $500 through any video poker or slot machine, 3 a.m. through 11 p.m. Monday through Thursdays. While many of the spins are points or free play, which are essentially good as cash, since they have so many 99% games that convert free play into cash rather efficiently, several spins are food options or a $25 South Point gift card. In the first week, the average seemed to be about $15 per spin, including food and free play at face value. While this is a higher than the value of spins in the earlier promotion, this time you're limited to one spin a day, and there's a 4-hour gap between the end of one promotion day and the beginning of the next, meaning you have to go there all 4 days in the week if you want to collect it all. At predicted.org, there's a market where you can place small bets on the occurrence of various political happenings, mostly but not entirely in the United States. Currently, the most markets are in who's going to be running in the 2022 and 2024 elections, and when they're going to announce it. There are several markets to that effect. Our listeners receive a one-time offer of a deposit match up to $20 at predicted.org/promo/edge. BlackjackApprenticeship.com is an excellent place for those wishing to be successful at counting cards at blackjack. The primary value of the membership is a video course, training site, members forum, pro betting software, casino database, result tracking software, members only podcast, and the members chat room. They have not announced dates yet for their blackjack boot camp, but you can be sure they'll be having several of these in Las Vegas in 2021. Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is wheel poker with quick quads. 7 coins per line, which is 1 extra coin for the wheel and 1 extra coin for the quick quads. The wheel spin averages 157.5, and you get it for every quad and every quick quad. The double-double bonus version at the South Point returns some 99.8% and is available for triple play and 5-play quarters. The strategy may be worked out using the wizardofodds.com video poker strategy calculator, and I also teach it every few semesters of classes for those who would rather have things explained to them rather than figuring it out on their own. All right, we are back with Anthony Curtis, publisher of the Las Vegas Advisor and Huntington Press. You have a new travel deal for players who pay retail for rooms and meals in Las Vegas. Tell them about the LVA luxury travel.
Sure. The last issue or the current issue of the LVA, which is the March issue, the lead in it, in a section we call couponomy, which I don't know if I've talked about this before. Couponomy, the name was created by me and Peter Griffin drinking Heinekens. That's lots of fun. And I told Peter, I said, I've got to think of a name to call this column I do. And he goes, well, don't we do coupons? Don't we do coupons? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, OMY means to extract. So he goes, couponomy would mean to extract via coupon. And hence couponomy was born all those years ago. But in the couponomy section, I wrote about the 2 biggies, I called it, which are for the people who travel to Las Vegas, for, mostly to vacation or to play, on an amateur level or however it is they want to gamble. The big costs, there's lots of ways to save money in Vegas, obviously, with all the things we like to talk about. But 2 costs that you can't escape are travel and lodging. So I've always tried to find ways to save money in those ways, whether it's travel or getting rooms. And the room thing has been always real delicate. We just really couldn't come up with stuff. We did codes, and there was something called Travel Acts years ago that used to find low rates. And none of them ever really solved the problem. And we still don't really have the complete answer to this puzzle. But we did come across something which is for the higher end. And there are programs out out there, just like I mentioned at the top of this, that certain customers of sports books can negotiate deals. Well, certain groups that have clout can negotiate deals with casinos, and LVA's got a modicum of clout right now to be able to do this. So we were able to get into a new program that allows people to get really good bundled deals. And most of the value in this are at the high end places now. So places like Wynn, Aria, I would say Venetian Palazzo, there's, even though they were just sold. And what the deal is, we can get a little bit better deal on rate. So let's say that a rate at a place like Wynn is 160 a night. We can probably get 140, 145. So there's a little bit of saving there. But what's really good about it is we get these bundles, meaning that along with that, you get $100 in food and maybe another $30 per person in breakfast per day, and the whole thing. So what it comes out to is if you're going to stay like a single night, like on a staycation, it's literally you're getting the room for nothing because you're getting as much back in the extra perks as you are for what you paid for the room. Now, if you stay a couple of nights, that starts to get washed down a little bit, but you're staying in a suite at the Wynn or Mandalay Bay or wherever it may be at what comes out to an average of about $40 a night after 2 nights and maybe $52 a night after 3 nights. And you really can't do that anywhere else. So we think it's a good start. And we've had a lot of people take advantage of it already. So all of a sudden, maybe this is something that resonates with the market. But I think it's pretty cool. It's not free. It's not like you're getting comped, which you can if you're a player. But for those who don't have that kind of cachet as gamblers, this is one of the better ways to stay high end.
Well, it's not as good as if you get a comp rate, but some players play little and get what they call a casino rate, which is basically half price of the rack rate. It is, in some cases, certainly this deal could be better than the casino rate.
Well, I'm not even sure. The casino rate used to be a well-known and very available amenity or perk that people could get. That casino rate, the whole idea of that is almost gone by the wayside. And I think they treat the casino rate more like just looking at your player's card and giving you a discount of some sort. So that whole idea of, hey, I'm a blackjack player, I'm going to play, give me the room for half price. I don't know if it's that easy to do anymore. I certainly don't hear about it that much. I hear more about guys just getting offers for their play with mailers and things like that. Get a free room, get a 2 for 1. But back in the old days, when I started the LVA, way back, in the 80s and 90s, we used to look for these kinds of deals that we're talking about right now, about the bundled deals. They used to be advertised in the LA Times and various other big newspaper travel sections. And we would look at how the price of the extras could crush the price of the room. And then they used to have things called spree programs, which were very, very similar, where you would come in, they'd be like mini junkets. So this whole idea that we're doing right now is kind of harking all the way back to those kind of offers right there, which I used to love to find and analyze and get really good deals. And we'd write it up saying it's like staying for $12 a night at, wherever, Wynn or Mirage or whatever. So that's really, it's more along those lines. It's just getting creative for people to say, I'm going to come to Vegas. I need a room. And with this room, I'm going to get a really good meal in this place where I'm staying that they're going to pay for.
And my experience is the casino rate does exist by a different name. If you are a player at a casino and not a good enough player to get a comp room, the host will sometimes goes, well, we can't comp it all for free, but we can give you a lower rate or something like that. They don't call it a casino rate, but it does exist for players, but not the A players. It does exist for maybe the B- or C players.
That's really good information. So, somebody who's playing mid-level, you might want to talk to a host about that and say, what can you do for me on my room? You know more about this than I do, both of you guys probably, but I think that room is a much softer comp for them. And you'd be much more likely to get a discount on a room than if you were to say, hey, I want dinner. And they might say no on dinner, but they might, give you a softer comp on that room, perhaps.
And which may or may not be a better deal than the deal you have, but it's worth checking into. Now, you call directly to LVA about this, or you call a casino for this?
But no, that's the other interesting part of it is that LVA is almost becoming a travel agent. And that's something that we had to really talk about. Like, do we have the staff to be able to handle this? And we're working with some outside guys that do our travel, the travel section and the credit cards. You know, Richard, you and I talked about credit cards for years, and the guys who have done a good job with us there. So we've got help in that. The best way to do it is just to go to LasVegasAdvisor.com and go to the section on the site that says the travel game. And when you go into that, you'll see it all, you know, prompts all over the place to tell you how to do it. We would send out a quote and say, here's what we can get you right now. And then they would come back with the quote, or they could make a phone call and it would go from there. What's good about this, though, is we're talking about a deal for people who really can't get anything through their gambling. They're just not big players. And I guarantee you, a lot of your customers are those customers who really like gambling and want to do it right, but they're just never going to play the kind of money that is going to get them those kinds of discounts. So this is why this program is good for that group.
Well, even our APs who don't give their name and they want to stay at a place that they're not playing, so they need a place to stay in Las Vegas while they hit other casinos. So that could work for more of our audience than you suggest.
Yeah, I mean, this is something I would take advantage of if you had this ability in other cities, right? That you know. Oh,
we do. That's the fun.
They do it in Henderson too.
Yeah.
They want us to concentrate, and they recommend, by they meaning the people that are providing these deals, they want us to concentrate on gambling because that's what we're known for. But you can do this all over the world. They've got these high-end places, and they have low-end places too. It's just that the deal dissipates as you go lower and lower. They can't get as much, and it's not so great. So maybe you save $5 or $10. That's still good. But on the high-end stuff, they can make these bundled deals everywhere. And I don't mean all over the United States. I mean in Europe and Asia, everything. They've got a gigantic, vast network. So
that's
yeah,
really
you can
cool.
do it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
So
might have
LBA's
travel agents. I don't know. I mean, if this really works, you know, I go to where the heat is. I mean, if we were able to do well with this, because we'll get a commission off of it. You know, I mean, I don't mind disclosing that. We get a commission off of every sale, and the deals are still good. That's how strong these guys are. So we end up being a travel agent. You know, who knows? That might be the biggest travel advisor. I don't know.
How's LBA on the YouTube channel?
Well, that's our other thing. That's our other new thing is after all these years, I finally got coaxed into making YouTube videos. And I kind of stayed away. I resisted it for years because I don't mind going on television. You know, obviously that's how I got known, is by doing all the Travel Channel stuff and the Learning Channel and Discovery Channel and doing demonstrations of, you know, card counting and talking about the deals in Vegas. And that was something that was very easy for me to do, because I would be asked questions and I would answer about things that I was passionate about and that I knew, very similar to what's happening right now, right? It's very interesting for me to do this interview with you guys, or very easy for me, I should say, because it's fun for me. But going on YouTube, you literally have to present to some degree. And I'm not a presenter. I'm not good at it, and I don't like it, and I'm uncomfortable with it. So we're trying to figure out what the formats are. But I finally decided to do it because it was just, being on television was so valuable 20 years ago for the business that I do, that the new television is YouTube. And, you know, they don't do those things on Travel Channel like they used to, but they do it on YouTube. So we're experimenting with a couple of different formats. And some of them is where I just have to go up there and like read the news, you know, and everyone goes, it's okay. And I look at it and go, God, I suck, man. You know, I suck. But it's okay. You know, it's good enough. But others were doing, we call it a series called In the Wild, which comes from what we do, right, guys? You know, we talk about going into the wild, meaning that we're out there playing and out there doing things. And that one's a little bit more free flowing. And we've got literally hundreds of these in mind. We got, you know, hundreds of shows that we're going to do. And so far, so good. I mean, we've got about 3,000 subscribers, which is cool. And we get all kinds of thumbs up and all of that business. But it's a long process. But it's just go to YouTube and go to Las Vegas Advisor, and you'll find what we're doing. We got about a dozen videos up right now.
it's clear that you are much more comfortable in the wild segments, right? Where you're just kind of talking, you're not reading a script, and yeah. So you need to put a hot girl behind the desk doing that instead of.
I know, and I've thought about it, and we may do that. We've actually talked to a couple of pros to have them do that. We're also doing another aspect of it. The guy I'm working with is named Andrew Hunt, and he just loves Question of the Day that we do, and he wants to try to turn Question of the Day into quick 1-minute videos. So we've done a couple of those with less success so far. So far, it looks like the in the wild videos are going to be the best. And like you say, I have more fun with those. Those are easier for me, but those still have to be scripted to some degree. So there's a learning curve for me. I'm not a pro like you guys. You guys have been used to doing this for years and years, and I got to figure it out. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to do some things with our authors. So we're going to want both of you guys on, where I'm not sure how we're going to do it, but we're going to interview you about your books and things like that. So we got a lot of plans on this, and I would hope our audience would, support that a little bit.
Now, have you set up a studio there in the offices with a green screen?
Yeah. Well, you guys used to do your podcast out of here, and we took that room and we turned it into a green screen studio. So it's also, when you guys decide to venture back out again, you're going to say, wow, I'm working right out of a studio here. And it's, we got all the equipment up there and everything, and that's how we're doing it.
Well, now when you interview Richard on this, you might have a chance to see his face. Formerly, when he was out there in the wild, he would show up with a bag on his head if you were going to interview him. So maybe that's progressed a little bit.
I know what he does. I've seen his gig.
I keep saying I'm retired, and this time I think I mean it. And so I have done, a few things again. Like I went on VSiN and live or whatever. And we've been talking about this idea of turning Gambling with an Edge into a video format. Yeah. We have a lot of listeners who listen to this show on YouTube, so, to add the video. But I don't know, whenever I look at all these ESPN shows where it's or podcasts where it's just guys sitting behind microphones, it's not really a visual medium.
It isn't, but as you know, you're a filmmaker, and I don't know if everyone knows that, but how many films have you made? You've made a dozen films, haven't you?
Yeah, 10 plus television. I've directed a number of television episodes.
You know what can be done, and you know that you can absolutely enhance what you're doing. See, I'm the one who keeps telling you guys, come on, do it now. I've made the leap. Now you guys need to do it, and we need to get our forces together for two reasons. One is we have the expertise between what you do and what my partner Andrew does and things like that. We can make some nice, slick, fun things that aren't too slick, but the knowledge we have and the connections that we have, I would say, as humbly as I can possibly say, are second to none. And we could do this better than anybody else can. I watch YouTube and I see these guys, look, no offense, man, to call the guy out, Brian Christopher, who walks around and has 1 million subscribers and shovels his money into slot machines with no edge whatsoever and says, watch me play. And people watch it like crazy. It drives me nuts, man. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And he gets paid big money to do that.
Well, plus there are the modern day equivalents of Jerry Patterson, right, who are playing blackjack, claiming that they have some winning system. And it's the same kind of, crap, right, where they just have no idea what they're doing.
So this is the idea behind what we're doing and what we wanted you guys to get involved with too, is we want to bring really honest information to it. And I'll give you an example. We did one on the double up machine a couple of weeks ago. Not double up machine, the double up option in video poker, so you can double. Well, the reality is that this is a fair bet almost always, meaning that there's no edge. There's no edge for the casino. There's no edge for the player. And we told that story on the double up. And, we showed us playing and all, and it was kind of cool. And I'll be darned if some guy doesn't get on the comment section and say, no, it's not fair. They cheat. And I'm like, immediately I come behind him and go, you are wrong. They do not cheat. They cannot cheat. If they do, they're breaking the law. This game, as it is presented, is a fair game. Well, what this guy does is he goes and he erases his first comment and comes up and puts up another comment and says, they cheat. If you do it 100 times and keep score, you'll see that you lose. And I came right behind him again and said, you can keep putting this up and taking it down all you want, but we're going to put the good information here. And that's what we want to do. We want to make people know that, well, we may not be, Hollywood type presenters. The information they're going to get is as good as they can get anywhere. That's what we want. That's what we want to put forward.
Sounds good.
Well, I think it would have been better if you would have had me also talking about the double up option, because there's a lot more to it than just an even money bet.
Wow. Well, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for you to come in and do that interview with me.
All right. You know where to get in touch with me.
Yes,
all right. Now, things are back opening up again in Vegas. Many people have had their vaccines, including both of the hosts of this show. So we're now kissable, which is
well, I've only had the first dose, so.
Oh, so he's semi-kissable. I can tell you that I wasn't getting any groupies before the COVID came around. And I don't think having 2 vaccines is going to help very much in that effect. So I suspect that's true of Richard too, but he'll have to answer that for himself. So Vegas is opening back up again. How are things different?
The only thing that's really the thing that's most different is the I guess the attitude. I can't think of any other way to say it. The attitude of both the casinos, the operators, and the customers. That attitude being that it's okay now. It's getting better in terms of more people seem willing. Whereas before everything was just so on hold. Even the people that would venture into the casinos were very cautious, and you need to be cautious still, obviously, but it was just so kind of staid and stoic. And now we're just seeing a little bit more of the old Vegas attitude, the excitement. I guess that's it. There's just a little bit more excitement infused. In terms of the rules and all, it's still very much locked down. I mean, it's still, the places that I go into, you still got to do a temperature check. You still got to be waved in, and you still got to, pull your mask down and let them see you and take a picture of you. All these different things, which are all somehow connected to the whole COVID protocol safeness thing. That's being sort of relaxed little by little. And for instance, a couple of weeks ago, they took the capacity limits up from 25% to 35%. There's not much difference in that. It's you can't really tell that difference. They're talking about 50% next, but everything's on the right track. They're going in the direction of opening things up. And it's what I've always said. Once the vaccine gets out there and people get inoculated, they're going to feel more comfortable with it, and this thing's going to come back slowly. So we see that finally happening. We went through a year with nothing moving. It was just so depressing and dour out there, and we're seeing it kind of move in the right direction. That's the best I can say about it, because there's still a lot of places that are not open. There's still a lot of things you can't do, but it's opening up little by little.
Do you have a prediction as to when the shows are going to come back?
Well, the shows are starting to come back now, because another relaxation in the rule has been made. They had something that they called the moat. The moat was the distance between the customers and the stage, and there had to be this huge distance between. It just took up a whole bunch of space, and it made it harder to watch the show, especially if it was a comedian performing or whatever. And that has just been taken away. And as soon as they did that, there were 2 things. Once they said they would go to 50%, so that the places could come in with twice as many people as the 25%. And once they said that the moat was gone, almost every single one of them has announced a comeback date, and it's during this month and next month. The only one that's going to be a little later is Cirque. Cirque's, the highest level show. They've got the most to worry about in terms of following all their rules. And so they're coming back in the summertime, but they've even made an announcement. So the shows are coming back now.
Was there talk that Cirque, excuse me, was there talk that Cirque was going out of business?
Yeah, well, there was a bankruptcy, and they had to, there was a bankruptcy that they had to do, and they had to do and did. So they did that, and but they're out of it, and they were sold, and they're making some changes. For instance, Zumanity is not going to come back, and there probably will be another show or 2 eventually that they might stop and maybe not be as aggressive. But no, I mean, when they couldn't perform, they had no revenues. So
Yeah.
of course they had to go into a deep freeze. And it's still going to be tough for them when they can't fill an entire theater, because they could fill all of Bellagio and they could fill all of Mandalay Bay. They're sold out every night, and now they're not allowed to do that. So they still are having hard times with their whole financial situation, and they've gone through a few machinations. But no, they're still live and kicking and preparing their comeback.
Good. All right. Thank you, Anthony Curtis. At the end of our shows, we typically do a recommended section. Richard, what do you have for us today?
A limited series on Netflix called Collateral. It's written by David Hare, the English playwright, who's quite good, and stars Carey Mulligan. It's it's a murder cop mystery kind of series, which I like a lot of those shows. So this one I thought was quite good. It's only 5 or 6 episodes, but well worth watching.
Anthony, you've given us lots of recommendations. Did you blow your whole wad, or do you have another one for us?
No, I knew I had to do something at the end, so I kept one in the pocket, and I sort of nodded toward it a little bit. I was talking about the YouTube things and us shooting. A lot of the shooting we do is a place called Crown and Anchor, and there are 2 Crown and Anchors in Las Vegas. The Little Crown is the one that came second, and that's on Spring Mountain Road near Decatur, and the Big Crown is on Tropicana near I guess Eastern, not quite east, all the way down to Eastern. Maryland Parkway is closer. And both of these places, in my opinion, are as good a lunch play as you can possibly do. As I'm doing this interview with you guys, it's very close to lunch. When I get done, I'm going to go probably to Little Crown, and between noon and 1 o'clock, if you play 200 coin in, you get $25 free play every day, day in and day out. They also have the same deal from 5 to 6 in the evening and from midnight to 1 a.m. in the morning. So they do it 3 times a day, though you can only do it once and only at one place. But it's also such a great lunch place. Their food is so good. They got the best chicken fingers in town. They have what I consider maybe the best clam chowder in town for a British pub. I know that sounds strange. I had one the other day. It was just loaded with so many clams you could surf on it, man. It was terrific. We have all the British pies and everything else. So I say Crown and Anchor, either east or west, from noon to 1 o'clock for lunch and free play.
Do they comp the lunch for regulars in addition to this bonus?
They used to comp the lunch. That was their deal. If you played $20 through, you get a free lunch. And they switched that out for the $25 free play, which I like better. But if you are a big player, if you're a person that goes in there and you don't mind playing, 3% negative games, and you give them action, they'll comp your food as well. But that's not the play. The play is to pay for the food and get the $25. And you get a beer or two while you're playing. That gets comped like everywhere.
Well, I wish it did get comped like everywhere, but it doesn't anymore. You have to play enough.
I know. Almost like it used to be. That. Put it that way.
All right, Anthony, it's been a pleasure as always. I think you are our most frequent guest, and you always bring your A game when you come here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.